Now I would like to call Professor Dr. Aun Abbas as a keynote speaker who is an expert in smart grids and energy policy contributions to sustainable technology research. Please, Dr. Aun Abbas.
All right, ji, Assalamu alaikum everyone. And I'll start with thanking the organizers of this symposium for giving me an opportunity to speak. So today I'm going to talk about, and the topic is poverty, PV technology, and opportunities for South Asia. So that's the title of my presentation. And I realize that the program is such that we have a very limited amount of time. So I'm certainly trying to do it in a very short and pointed manner. So I have very clear message and not too many slides to show as well. So I hope I have your attention in the meanwhile. So let's go to the first one. So what is poverty? Yeah, click once, please. Poverty, can you click? So I just picked up the definition as you just generally Google is. It's said to be, poverty is said to exist when people lack the means to satisfy their basic needs. So this is poverty. And in this context, the identification of poor people first requires a determination of what constitutes basic needs. So they can't, afford they can't satisfy their basic needs. So what are basic needs? And one of the basic needs in today's context is energy. Right? It is one need because societies are actually, fueled by energy, their economies, their personal lives, and all. For example, this cell phone which we all love, it's all based on energy, right? With no energy, no cell phones. So, and this is something which goes everywhere, from the poorest in society to the richest in society. So yeah, so energy is actually a necessity in today's. And in South Asia, we continue to experience energy poverty. And I think energy is around for more than 100 years. And this poverty has been around for more than 100 years as well. We are very populous nations in South Asia, and poverty is a very serious issue that we all experience here. Okay. And my point of this whole, topic today is to emphasize the value of PV technology, which I believe is a very clear opportunity to eliminate energy poverty in South Asia and elsewhere. So what I'm going to suggest, of course, it's meaningful in the context of South Asia, but wherever else is the poverty, it is meaningful there too. That's the other point. Let's move forward. So the first one, please come down. So what happens is we generally have some structure of what we call utilities in any country. This is generally a regulated sector. We have a regulatory authority, and we have generators, we have transmitters, or what we call transmission, high voltage transmission, companies which provide transmission of power from the generating sources to the consumption centers. Similarly, we have what is called distribution companies, which actually distribute power to the end users. Now, of course, governments recognize that there are poor people who should be able to have access to energy, and they also recognize that they are poor. So we tend to have, as a policy thing everywhere, what we call a very basic user, and we tend to subsidize the cost of energy that they pay. And generally they are defined as those users who spend or consume about 100 to 200 units a month. In Pakistan nowadays, they are paying about, for example, 8 rupees a unit. So a lot of us tend to experience this, 42, 47 rupees, which have been in the, media lately, some new proposals that are coming up from a regulatory perspective. And that's true. My bill averages about 50 rupees with all the taxes, 50 to 60, it varies. So it is pretty expensive. But the basic user is still getting, through subsidies, a very cheap game. Okay. But there is an availability issue too. It's not just about the cost. So we do have sufficient generation capacity, but a lot of that is based on oil and what we call, fossil fuel based. Prices go up and down, so does the generation costs. As a result, sometimes cost is so high. And that was about 13 years ago when I started my own energy company, realizing that solar is an answer to those issues. So I have a very personal experience as well. Although I'm at a university as a professor, but I'm also an entrepreneur. I have a company on the side. So we develop technologies right here and try to find and solve these solutions, problems and solutions to our industry. So what is the issue? Sometimes we have the capacity to generate, but not having the capacity as a nation to buy at a very high rate and then sell at a lower rate. So this is one of the issues that IMF negotiation, this and that, balance of, what we call transfer. We have less exports, more imports, and we don't have enough dollars as a nation to pay our import bills. So one of the things they do is they cut on generation, reduce generation. As a result, what we have is a load shedding. Load shedding is a phenomenon everywhere in countries like Pakistan and many others in South Asia. And this issue impacts, in terms of the social segments that we deal with, disproportionately to the poorer people, those in poverty. So when it comes to, okay, how we do the load shedding, so I remember in 2012 and 13, when the barrel price of oil was more than $100, about 120, 130. In Pakistan, we used to have, in urban areas, 12 hours of load shedding. So we'll have electricity for 1 hour, next hour you won't. And in rural areas, and in some poor areas, this load shedding was up to 20 to 22 hours. So look at it from the perspective of the CEO of a distribution company who is asked to provide profitability, and he has all these issues. So where he's going to do the shutdown with the limited amount of energy available? To the one who is getting the subsidy, not the one who is paying the bill. Common sense, it's an economic argument. But there is a social equity issue as well, that they are less than an equal citizen as well in their eyes, the way they get treated. So this is the background in which I said, how could we solve this problem, right? So, okay, so yeah, next one please. Okay, what is the upside of the PV technology? And it is its independence from costly inputs. So when we talk about PV, it is the light, given free by the nature that we use to generate the power. So we don't need to pay for the barrel of kerosene oil or the bill for the natural gas or whatever, right? So input is free. All you need is some capital investment to have the equipment to translate that light energy into electrical energy, right? And so it's green nature of generation as well, because sustainability and all of that, We are very proud, that we, in the last 200 years, we had industrial revolution. All the problems we are facing today is because of that interesting revolution. Because we have built cities which we can't sustain. We have built, we do mining, we're just exhausting our water resources here and there. We are consumers, but we don't do consumption with a view to sustainability. And we have been talking, at least for the last 20 years, we have these SDGs and we talk about those, but I only see talk. But doesn't mean things have not changed. But they have not changed necessarily because of the policy or very well thought and coordinated efforts globally. It is just the natural selection. For example, 13 years ago when I started my energy business, I imported, and I may have been the first solar energy company in Pakistan dedicated to that purpose. So I imported panels from China in 2012. And I know the cost per watt at that time was about 68 cents, US cents per watt. Guess what is the cost of per watt solar panel today? It's less than 10 cents. It's about 7, 8 cents. So look at it in 10 and 12 years, the cost of that has come down to just 10% of what it was just 12 years ago, right? Look at the solar inverter, the second essential element for a solar system, right? I can share with you the cost of that, of about the same size product, used to be about $500. Today, that is available in $150 or less. 100 to 150 is the range. So we are looking at cost coming down on the PV inverter side about 1/4 that it was more than a decade ago. So what does it mean? Affordability. And that's something which caused a big impact in Pakistan. Last year, we imported about 18 gigawatts. We were perhaps the third or fourth largest, in the world. So there is some good name we actually earned. But do you think it's because of the government policy? Yes, to some extent, because there is no custom duty and there is no even GST. So if you import solar panels, this is there is not even additional cost to that 8 cents per watt, other than the transportation. So yes, it facilitates. So Pakistan has really adopted solar, and it's really become an interesting model, even for our Chinese friends, the companies there who really do the product. They generally say that if your product goes to the Pakistani market and succeeds in both ways. Well, there is one commercial success. The other is technical success. They say that it is very harsh environment because it gets very hot in summers. It has very soon you will see a lot of dust particles in the air. So all the worst thing that electronics can have, you have it here. And they say that if your product works in Pakistan, it should work anywhere in the world. So there is a lot of respect for us as a consumer, at least even in other countries who supply us. So where is the problem though? The adoption of PV technology in any country, particularly South Asia, is a function of, again, the biggest issue is capital cost. My operational cost is virtually none because input is the light. But I need to have panels up front. I need to have a, inverter up front. I need to have some structure up front. I need to have some wiring up front. I need to have some storage up front. And I'm a poor man. Where does the money come from? So who benefits then? Where did that 18 gigawatt or maybe 25 gigawatt of solar power already installed in Pakistan, who owns it? And you will find there are some 300,000, middle class, rather upper middle class people who are enjoying the benefit of it. And we have this policy called net metering, and they are just, happy with it. And who is saving and getting the most out of it? Who could afford the expensive electricity? Well, they have the capacity to save, and the poor guy who's on a subsidy cannot. How do we solve this problem? That's what I suggest, and next slide is the last slide, and that's my suggestions. Okay. So I say that see these small consumers as a capital asset for the nation. The poor people know they still can be capitalized. Who can provide space to erect small PV power plants? Kahin na kahin, they live somewhere, they have a space. However small, they can put up few panels because they have a space. Okay, so first of all, they are not useless at all. They can be useful. So first assumption. Then where the money comes from? Where it came everywhere. In 2006, in Ontario, Canada, the province had a program, what we call feed-in tariff. While on my electricity bill, I was paying about 6 to 7 cents a unit for the consumption I was doing. The feed-in tariff, they were buying, if you generate on solar, they were giving you more than 50 cents for the same unit. This is the program. This is how they promoted so-called green energy, and this is about 20 years ago. Feed-in tariffs are generally gone. Net metering is very common. Okay? But even though it was 50 cents, what was the rationale why they should be giving at 50 cents? The idea was that ROI should be at least 6 years. The life of the project is 20 plus years. And they had to have a 50 cents a unit to give away so that they can get the return on their capital investment from in 5 years, 6 years. And where the money is coming from, it used to take some $50,000 to put up a, at that time, 15, 20 kilowatt. And they were, but these societies are what we call bankable societies. I was a poor student on a scholarship in Canada at one time. I could still get a credit card. In Pakistan, I am a rich man, still they will be asking a lot of questions. They don't trust. This is the problem we have, and this is the problem we need to solve. Those societies gave you money, the banks and all of that. And the collateral was the equipment itself. And there you go, gigawatts were installed. That model needs to be replicated. That's the only way. The funding has to come from somewhere. So in our case, or in South Asia, in any country which has dynamics similar to ours, needs to provide this, capital alone. In Pakistan and a lot of other South Asian companies and so many so-called developing nations, one of the way to entice investment is what we call BOT model. Build, operate, transfer. Who builds? The one who invests. Who operates? The one who invests. And where it gets transferred to? It gets transferred to the nation, to the, the distribution company. I call it loan-to-own PV program. What does that mean? You get a loan from the bank, and you pay off the loan based on the cost of electricity. Even if it was cheaper, you pay back your loan because you save on your bill. And ultimately, who owns it? The poor guy owns it, instead of the distribution company. Now, the question is, how come the National Bank of Pakistan or Habib Bank of Pakistan, all these banks would be interested to give loans? That's exactly where policy comes in. You force them. You tell them everybody has it. And these are small loans, not very large, 100,000, 150,000, okay? And they will take interest, so it is a sensible business model for them. They will make money out of it. They loan it, they get it back with some profit. But the problem that we have as a banking sector is, where is the collateral? Oh, gentlemen, that particular equipment is the collateral. Okay, what if gets lost? So, okay, get an insurance on it. So it is possible. If there is a will, there is a way. But what you are doing in this model is that you are not neglecting the poor, the poverty guy. You are seeing them as an asset, and you find a way to get them to contribute. So that's all I had to say. Thank you so much.